Hey. Hello. It's that time of day again. Welcome to At the Table with your host, Kelly Lincoln, also known as the Roaring Girl. On today's show, I just blither like I usually do. Hopefully, you're tuned in. No, I know you are tuned in. And all sorts of other good stuff. Today is Saturday, April 1st, 2017. And for you Discordians, it is Discord 18, Sweet Morn, Yold 3183. Because
that dog's as subtle as a hand grenade in a
seems
barrel
that
of
way.
oatmeal.
Let's start off with my awesomeness and my week in review. You know you want to hear that. You just know you want to hear that.
Oh my.
Oops, I don't have my auto ducking on, so you probably can't hear me. So I am going to have to just repeat all of this all over again because it is Discord 18, Sweet Morn, the old 3183, or in the me hum time, it is April 1st, 2017, and it's Saturday, and it is overcast and chilly here in New York City, and once again, I am at my favorite space to do this because they understand me and don't get too upset because I'm out of the way and I share. Coming to you live, at least on the Spreaker broadcast, which will be rebroadcast this evening at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern on netrootsradio.com from East 87th and Lexington Avenue, which at the moment is being ripped up by some construction crew. I have no idea if it's Con Ed or who, but it's got some weird-ass symbols on the caution cones, the big ones, the heavy-duty ones. And, the week in review, let's see, today's April 1st, so I have now entering my third week of being 62 years old. Don't feel it, don't look it, which is good. Which is awesome. Have a people looking at me going, "Why are you sitting there, bitch? It's my table." No, it's not. I'm recording. I'm doing a show, ladies, folks. I'm not sharing the table right now. It's been a good week on Wednesday. The middle of the night, I get a text, like 20 people get this mass text asking for somebody who can help an actor reading. They have an audition coming up and they need a reader. And so I just realized back here they took the electrical outlets out. Guess they don't want us hanging out here all day long. That's what batteries are for. And so the pay was turned out to be a $10 Dunkin' Donuts card. That works for me. I'm an actor. I can always use more caffeine. Sandwiches, whatevers. And so I responded. And got a response saying, this is where to go, this is who to ask for. And I get upstairs, and it turns out that the person looking for the reader is a friend of mine, somebody that I have studied acting with John Polana. But I sort of knew that from the mass text. And some people waited till that day to say, who is this, and why are you sending me this text? Like, you couldn't ask that? Anyway, my friend was asked to submit for 3 roles on the same project, and she needed somebody to read for her so she could self-tape. And self-taping is really interesting because it's all put on you to set your scene up the best. So you look the best, and it can be tricky if you don't have the proper gear, like a screen that you can use as a bland background. She was apartment sitting for a friend of hers, and there was this very, very nice Chinese trifold screen, nice opaque white, perfect for self-taping, and setting it up with the tripod and everything and slating. And it was a good day. It was a lot of fun. She got her auditions recorded. I got more practice in on reading various characters. And later on that evening, I stayed down in Midtown Manhattan in Theater District because I had a rehearsal for a project that I'm doing in a couple of weeks with this particular company, Gymnast Studio. The Roger Simon Studio is presenting a celebration of Tennessee Williams, and there are some great scenes, that from plays that everybody knows, and there's some work from his less known pieces. I'm doing a piece from the Gnädiges Fräulein. There's a couple of scenes from a play called Our Lady of something lotion, can't remember it, and there's a wonderful, wonderful piece from another obscure or lesser known Williams play that was first time I heard the piece, and it was just really an amazing monologue. I will have more information for you New Yorkers later on the live show tonight, later this week. In fact, you shouted out on the Roundhouse Power Hour. And but I got home, fell into bed, and it took me 2 days to recover from the event. So brain injury really does take a lot out of you because it's difficult when you don't have when you have an invisible disability. And it doesn't manifest itself in the way so many others can. Like I said, a lot of people, I'm very high functioning with my brain, and I'm very fortunate that way. So people, when I tell them I'm a brain injury survivor, they're really amazed that I'm so high functioning, because they look at it in different perspectives from the severe injuries, like Robert Woodruff's, and Gary Busey, who, considering the extent of their head traumas, they are exceptionally high functioning, and it becomes difficult when just the sheer power it takes to remain focused on a specific task, and how suddenly tired you can feel once that task's ended. It's still very astonishing. I mean, my brain injury occurred in 1997, and here it is 20 years later, and I am still feeling the effect of it. And yeah, I get it. It's how some people can handle. Make fun of Gary Busey and his perceptions. He's just unfiltered. He ain't crazy. He's just doesn't have as many filters as the rest of us do. And so instead of doing stuff I had planned on doing Thursday and yesterday, Friday, I slept. I really, this was totally non-functional for 2 days. And that for me is an issue. I know most people don't think about being so brain drained that they are not just that they are so mentally exhausted that their body doesn't want to respond to anything. And for me, the last 2 days was a complete throwback to the injury, the initial injury, and I got any suggestions for being able to survive 12 hours of intense focus, please let me know. You can tweet at me at ATT Show, capital A, capital T, capital SHOW on the Twitters, and I'll get it. So what else has been going on this week? What's been going on in the Twitterverse? Mike Huckabee is having a mad because people are being mean to him on Twitter. He thinks they're being bullying and they're just like mean to him. So it's sort of like, dude. You can be so you can dish it out, but you can't take it like so many other people who think they are so tough on the internet. You know, like when I saw that tweet, that he was going to delete his account, I tweeted back at him that it's only zeros and ones, and yeah, even though they're just zeros and ones, data bits, seeing the words still hurt. And I don't take that because I've been way back when there was this thing called Usenet. And people would get into flame wars on Usenet. Man, them was the days, just perfect days. I would get pissed off, and then I would realize that it's zeros and ones, and I'd be less pissed off. And I really didn't care about it until they went offline with it. And that's still my attitude, except if you want to go farther with this today, it's a whole lot different than Usenet, where those zeros and ones can translate into offline harassment much, much quicker. And so it's always one's own choice as to how they want to handle it. My immediate response to that is, if you feel threatened, you do something about it, whether it's just zeros and ones flying across your Twitter feed, your Facebook feed, your email account, then take it seriously, because in today's world, it's much easier to take this shit offline. And when you find yourself wondering, why the hell am I doing this or that? Remember, you always have options. You can now mute somebody so they can't see what your tweet, so you can't see their tweets. It's much more fun than blocking because they don't know that they've won. I love the mute function. And unless you essentially just don't want to see it, then you block them. But if you mute them, you don't see their bullshit, their crap. And they can't see that they've lost a follower. I love that function. It's so much more exciting than actually blocking. And you still have the that function. And then if it's really too much, you should always save those messages that you consider harassing, that you see as harassing, as threatening. Screen cap them. Put them up in Dropbox or Google Drive or someplace where you can store them securely, and report those, and then do what you need to do to get that person kick banned from whatever platform they're on. I know of somebody. I had to mute him. We're both early adopters of Twitter. In fact, he was one of the first people ever to be kick banned for internet stalking via Twitter. He has multiple accounts. He's freely admitted that. And there's really not too much that can be done with somebody who has multiple accounts because it's just too much. Twitter changing their newbie icon is not really going to do all that much for protecting people from threats and harassment. And we want to remind you folks that if people start screaming about free speech, First Amendment, remember, Twitter and Facebook is a private platform. It's privately owned. They can do whatever they want. They can decide that going after somebody is a violation of their terms of service, and you need to point that out to people. Read what's called the TOS, Terms of Service Acceptable Use Policy. Flat out states if they're harassing you, they're in violation, and you just keep, letting them know. You just keep reporting this person each and every time. Block them, mute them, report them. Block them, mute them, report them. That's what you do. And you keep doing it. And same thing with, and the thing about, what you also have to remember too, is that on these platforms, especially Facebook, there's a lot of people that report you for anything because they just want to give you grief. There are the guys, the people who review posts on Facebook. They're underpaid, and they are exposed to a lot of horrific stuff as part of their complaints. So please remember that if they deem your complaint not that important. They're dealing with abuse complaints of people uploading images of abused children, bloodied corpses, violence. It's got to remember that they have a lot going. It's just hard. I am sad to say I have never been placed in Facebook or Twitter jail. I don't know if that's good or bad, but let's presume it's good, because at least, there are ways to tell somebody to go fuck off without actually saying that. Just need to learn how to use a thesaurus and make them go to a dictionary to do it. But all these little strong people who have just so there's also that here in New York State there is a movement to raise the age of trying juveniles as adults, because we've had instances of 16 and 17-year-olds being charged as adults for certain crimes, and younger for crimes. And I agree with the premise. I think they should raise the ages when somebody can be tried as an adult. But it boils down, what age do you raise it to? 18 when they can vote? Or 21 when they can vote and drink? I mean, at 18, you are legally an adult in the United States of America, so... but then again, do you... I think what it poses a huge issue, especially when you have... since it affects non-white communities more than white communities, it's a very important issue, because you find that you have young African American and Latino men, boys, being charged as adults for crimes that otherwise would not be considered adult chargeable. my, so the other question is, can a young man from the inner city also have, an impaired sense of right or wrong because of where he lives? Does affluenza work both ways? And I'm saying that in a rhetorical thing, because when you grow up in an environment that is poverty-stricken, that is crime-ridden, you see who the successful people are. And sadly, these young men see crime as being the way out, as the success. They don't necessarily see that right versus wrong dichotomy that most people grow up with. And this is not a blanket statement. This is just saying that there are, like in every community, there are those young men and women who don't see anything wrong with misbehaving. Perhaps it was because they see misbehavior in the home, and for them that's normal. And being polite and gracious and caring and giving and loving to them is alien to them. They have no concept of that because they don't see it in the home. They don't see it on the streets. They don't see it or receive it in their schools. And can we therefore judge a 15, 16, or 17-year-old as an adult for acting in a manner which they do not perceive as, which they cannot perceive as being wrong? And I'm using this rhetorically because affluenza cuts both ways. We have multiple incidences of rich white kids being let off the hook because they don't know they were never taught the difference between right and wrong. Well, you've got that in the lower in impoverished communities, working, where middle class communities, and it's just bullshit. Everybody, right from wrong. You should know it, and in the impoverished inner city, even the suburban poor don't catch the break that the rich do when it comes to being charged with crimes. And that's all I'm going to say for that. They need to raise the age and when a juvenile can be charged as an adult. There are some states that charge 12-year-olds as adults and 10-year-olds as adults, and that's bullshit. It shouldn't be. Just shouldn't be. And you're listening to At the Table here on netrootsradio.com. I would play some stingers, but right now I'm working off of my iPad, and unless I import them into iTunes, I can't play them because this app will only let you import from iTunes, and it's kind of a bummer. So I should probably put them into my effects, get rid of all these little side effects, and put them into my effects. Yeah, let's do it. And one of the cuts, and it is 10 minutes before the hour here, and I have no idea if anybody's listening to me or not, but that's okay. Let's see. So there we go. Wow. And now the scare tactics over raising the minimum wage are starting. Conservative Twitter says claiming that raising the minimum wage in St. Louis to $11 an hour could cost jobs. Bullshit. Every city that has raised the minimum wage has discovered an increase in employment. I'm fortunate enough to have a job that pays well over the minimum wage, but even after taxes, it's still just above the minimum wage. So So it's bullshit. Remember that. All you need to do is some research on how increasing the minimum wage has actually helped state economies. Because number one, when you pay people what they're worth, they're going to show up. They're not going to screw up. They're going to, a higher minimum wage means that there is some respect towards the work that you do. And if you think that flipping burgers at a McDonald's or or a Wendy's or wherever is unskilled labor, you got something coming to you. Short order cooking is a skill. You may not see it as a skill because you think a skill involves sitting behind a desk, growing, planting the seeds of hemorrhoids while staring at a computer screen all day is skilled labor. It's not. It is. That's skilled labor. But the people who cook your food, they deserve a living wage. If employee wages had kept track with the cost of living, we would not be in this economic, situation that we are in. Corporate profits have risen since the Reagan era. Wages have not. You can't live anywhere on on $7.25 an hour, especially since they don't. I'm old enough to remember 40-hour work weeks, and after a certain length of time, you got benefits, you got sick leave. You were, if you work in the food industry, it should be common sense that you don't. It should be common. If you employ somebody, and you are a franchisor of fast food work or wherever, it should be common sense that your employees don't come in when sick. But if you don't give them that time off to be sick, then you run the risk of making your customers sick. Whenever there's a hepatitis breakout in a food, and they can trace it back to somebody in the kitchen who was sick, who had that illness, and they had to come into work because they they couldn't afford to take the time off. A child should be able to stay home and be sick if they are sick. They should not have to go to school and risk infecting children with, compromised or adults with compromised immune systems, anti-vaxxers. Yes, I am that old that I remember when insurance companies were not for profit, so everybody was insured, and it didn't matter. People did not have to crowdfund their for their medical bills. Or, beg for strangers to help them pay their medical bills. And it's a sad state, and we have a government, and I'm sorry, Republicans, if you are truly a conservative, you you conserve, you don't cut, you don't, if you want to, destroy the government, you're not a conservative, you're a fucking anarchist. You want to break up the union so there is no, if all you care about are the first 10 amendments to the Bill of Rights and nothing else, then of course you're not going to care if there is a possibility of corruption in the White House, of, collusion between a foreign entity and the people in your power. You're not going to care about people who shouldn't be trolling through classified materials, to find stuff in order to destroy an investigation. If you are really a Republican, you should be just as outraged about these allegations as you were about allegations about Benghazi and Whitewater going back to Clinton presidency, where they were investigated for losing money in a real estate deal. Don't see anybody investigating Donald Trump on the fact that he is the only casino owner in history that had his casino go bankrupt, not once, not twice, but 3 times. In fact, the board of the casino had to pay him to go away after the second bankruptcy. But if you just don't care about all of that shit, then you're not, just call yourself what you are, an anarchist, somebody who wants to see the breakup of the United States of America, the Union. If you were that, And that would please Russia, Putin, no end. You would love to see that, where every state had its own monetary system, its own federal laws. I mean, there are two petitions going on right now in California. One is called is the age old. Let's divide the state into two: Northern California and Southern California. That's been going on since I was a kid. And the other one is for California to leave the union, which is actually, and the person running that particular thing splits his time between Russia and San Diego. So you've got to wonder what his agenda is in wanting to sever California from, other than leaving the United States with a vast swath of the coast without any formal defense. Is trying to are they trying to retake California back from their lone outpost at Fort Russ? Now, I'm not paranoid, but I am, but no. Split the state in half. It's something, culturally it's different. Where I grew up in Contra Costa County, and the Contra Costa County Times, believe it was back in the 1970s when I was in high school, when it was being discussed, when the issue was raised again regarding dividing the state into two. There was an article, an opinion piece, written about where Contra Costa County would stand in relationship to the state dividing. They figured, if they stayed as part of Northern California, which they really are, because of its proximity to San Francisco and Sacramento, it would be just another county in the state, the state of Northern California. However, if they decided to ally themselves with Southern California, they would be a nuclear power because of the Port Chicago rail station, which is now closed, and it's still there, but a lot of it's been developed into housing. And some of the refineries there that are closed and being sold are now closed because they're due to age and lack of need of production and all of that. So the talk about splitting California into two states has been going on since the 70s. There was talk about, splitting it into two states over the peripheral canal, which Southern California has been trying to get built since the 1960s to bring Northern California water down to Southern California. And, it's tit for tat, going back and forth, there was even a radio feud going on between a radio DJ in Northern California and a Southern California DJ. So it was, so there was its humor points and then there's its serious points. And I live in New York City right now. And you're listening, and again, you're listening to whatever the hell it is. You're listening to At the Table here on netrootsradio.com. We are Resistance Radio because we don't take nobody's shit. And, you can listen to us on the TuneIn app at our stream on netrootsradio.com. We got a chat room you can join in on. All sorts of good stuff. And let's see, I'm going to see about playing you some music if I can. Or maybe not, depends. Oh, actually, I'm going to play this again because I just think it's just perfect. This is Fareed Zakaria on Donald Trump.
Okay, so what message does it send when the presidential nominee of the party needs to come back, clarify his remarks on such a sensitive and volatile issue?
Well, there's a pattern here, Wolf. That every time it is demonstrated that Donald Trump is plainly ignorant about some basic public policy issue, some well-known fact, he comes back with a certain bravado and tries to explain it away with a tweet or a statement. I mean, he did it on Brexit. He did it on the nuclear triad. He did it really on how U.S. debt markets work. He thought that Tim Kaine was the governor of New Jersey, and now with this. And it's sort of amusing to watch how is he going to pull it off this time. What is he going to argue? Usually he adds that the press hates him. But there's a term for this kind of thing. This is the mode of a bullshit artist. And, it's sometimes amusing, it's entertaining if the guy is trying to sell you a condo or a car. But for a president of the United States, it's deeply worrying.
Is there
Surprise! I wasn't prepared for the dead air that happened. My bad. I was busy looking at my Twitter feed to see if there was anything interesting to discuss. Not really, so I'm going to see what's going on in the Apple News world, because Apple News is cool. I took my lunch an hour freaking early, but that's okay. This doesn't make any sense. Oh, yeah. Last night on the Colbert Report, there's some things that can't be unseen. Colbert showed a clip of the High Stranger video, and then he outdid them with his version of it, which can't be unseen, and it's a Trump version of the High Stranger viral video. Just go to the Colbert Report, Late Show with Stephen Colbert, and just click on it. It's creepy and cannot be unseen. It seriously cannot be unseen. I wish I hadn't seen. Yeah, actually, I do. It's creepy. And online privacy. There are ways to online privacy. I'm not being paid for this, but if you go to Boing Boing Net or some other places and you look into the Boing Boing store, they have some really good deals on lifetime subscriptions to personal virtual private networks, which will help help with your internet privacy. And there's other things that you can do to give yourself more protection against the data collection. The ISPs, now I need to explain, the ISPs are not going to sell your history to the highest bidder. It's for targeted advertising. So, like they're already doing now, so, you have like trackers and all of that stuff. But the other concept is to get you to pay for it. Yeah, there's an article in the USA Today that asking, would you pay for online privacy? It's an excellent article. You should check it out. There's a video that will show you how to make your browsing more secure. You can use private browsing. You can log out of all of your account, like your Facebook account, but of course that means if you use Facebook Connect for commentary, you would need to create a Disqus account or an account with that particular page that you use your Facebook Connect account to comment on, which is not that big a deal. Just means you have to remember one more fucking password. Password keepers, KeePassX. There's a lot of good password managers that you can use. You can keep them, you can keep them as a log, hard copy on your desk. So there's a lot of ways to secure it. They're saying my question is, if the ISPs are going to sell my information sell my browsing history, are they going to give me free internet? Because that's the price we pay to Google and Facebook for having Facebook free and Twitter free and Google free, is that we say, sure, give us, yeah, sure, we'll let you track us, because that's how it works. So my question is to the ISPs. I'm talking to you, Spectrum. If I let you sell my data, sell my browsing data for targeted ads, are you going to let me browse are you going to do away with charging me for the internet? Fair is fair. I don't want to, you shouldn't get paid from both ends. Sorry. Should not get paid from both ends. You want to sell my data for browsing data for targeted advertising? Then do what Facebook and Google and Twitter do. Free. If it's free, don't charge me $30 a month and, sell my data to somebody else, It's on your heads, dudes. So it's all about how you want to do it. And I'm not really sure, but I think somebody messed with the timestamps on the systems that I am selling. Because when I left, it said 3:17. So actually now it should actually be, but I guess they switched it all to Atlantic time. So this is the way it goes. I'm good for that. So, and it's, when did I come in? And it's 43 minutes after the hour here on netrichradio.com, and we're just going to see what else is going on here. I'm going to play you some more music because I think I can. Yeah, let's see what this is called Searching for Justice. Miss Bell, you and Izzy were a couple at the time of the incident, correct?
Yes, we were.
How long had you two been dating?
About 2.5 years.
So it's safe to say you knew Miss Walker well?
More than well. I knew everything there is to know about her. Just about.
I assume you two spoke about the personal matters like your previous sex life?
Indeed.
Did Miss Walker ever mention having sexual relations with another man?
No, she would never.
So she was a virgin before Mr. Griffin abused her?
Well, in terms of being with a guy, yes.
And what about you? Have you and Miss Walker had sexual relations before?
Yes.
What about before the incident took place, before March 14th?
Yes, way before then.
And in your last sexual encounter before the incident, to your best recollection, can you please tell the court if Mrs. Walker's hymen was still intact?
Yes. Yes, it was.
And in your next sexual encounter after the incident, what about that?
It was not.
And had Miss Walker ever shown any interest in men? Or indicated in any way that you might want to experiment?
No, never. She's as gay as they come. Even when Leonardo DiCaprio or somebody came on TV, she wouldn't even react.
Gloria faces the jury.
As gay as they come. No further questions, Your Honor.
That was an excerpt from the screenplay Searching for Justice, which was based on actual events that took place in Texas regarding a lesbian woman who was sexually assaulted, and it covers all the absolute bullshit she had to go through trying to get a court-approved abortion. This was a sequence from from one of the trial courtroom scenes, and it just, sometimes I don't really pay attention to what I'm putting up. The excerpt I actually use as one of my voiceover demos, so that's how I do it, and this goes more into, men trying to tell me and other women what their bodies are all about when they don't even understand how our bodies even work, because they don't know how, because they don't do any sort of research into how women's bodies work, because they don't know how they work, and they're like, no. For example, all clinical trials are done with men because they know how the male body works. When they were doing studies on marijuana, they didn't use women because they didn't know how women's bodies worked. Well, we don't know how it's going to affect women. Well, that's why you should have, and the fact that they don't know, or they don't care. Because if they cared, Johnson & Johnson would have pulled its baby powder off the shelves, stopped marketing it towards us women. When I was in high school, back in the 1970s, we're talking 40 plus years ago, they already knew that their product caused cancer in women. But did they pull it from the shelves or suggest women not use it? No. They continued with their advertising, and they still have it on the shelves. They don't advertise it anymore, but it's still there. Johnson & Johnson's baby powder, use it all over your body except in one spot. Cornstarch works just as well to absorbing moisture, and it ain't gonna give you cancer. I live in New York City. 98% of all advertisements are from law firms. The latest one is, if you had surgery from an accident, call us. We'll get money for you. Now, they don't say whether or not, they don't tell you, they don't explain that, they just seem to care if you've had surgery due to an accident. So maybe I should call them up and say, yeah, I had surgery on my left knee to repair a torn meniscus. Can you, it's fine now. Can I still sue the hospital? Any type of surgery, we can sue whether you were injured or not. No. Well, yeah, I mean, if you broke a bone, they have to do, I understand they implicate, but it's stupid. It's truly, truly stupid. Regarding the, what they're like asking people about. Dude, it's nonsense. And I'm probably going to be in trouble when I get back to work if my supervisor came in and I'm not there, Although I haven't seen a message come across saying, "Where are you? I'm in the store." Another fun little application on my phone is called List, li.st, where it's just where you can make lists and share them. speaking of reproductive health, one of the lists I follow is Strand Bookstore here in New York City. And Pro-Reclaiming Abortion Rights by Katha Pollitt. The Means of Reproduction by Michelle Goldberg. Killing the Black Body by Dorothy Roberts. The Birth of the Pill by Jonathan Eig, E-I-G. America and the Pill by Elaine Tyler May. Girls and Sex by Peggy Orenstein. The Girls Who Went Away by Ann Fessler. The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, which seems to be like the dystopic world that they want to bring us into. The Sharia, the Christian Sharia law world. The Healing of America by T.R. Reid. And that's a pretty good, cool list. I'm going to share this list to my Facebook. And there we go. I've just shared it. It's just shared. It's faster and cheaper. And let's see, what else have I done here? Are there good lists? So I need to check in. I need to check in on the list more. It's a great little thing here. It's so. I'm going to say good afternoon. Join me again next week on episode 8 of At the Table here on netrootsradio.com. Now, stay tuned for...
Thank you for listening to At the Table. Now
the one, the only, Katie Klaubish and Katie Speaks here on netrootsradio.com. And we're slowly going out. Are we there yet? I think we're there. Katie, can you hear me? Happy April. Enjoy your April Fool's Day, folks. And remember, in the 19th century, the pranks could get you killed.